This is True News, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God. Mr. Paul Pelosi, husband of Nancy Pelosi, was allegedly beaten with a hammer by a man reportedly looking for the House Speaker. There are unconfirmed reports at this hour that Mr. Pelosi is in brain surgery in the Mark Zuckerberg Hospital in San Francisco. There is no confirmation that Speaker Pelosi has returned to San Francisco to be at the side of her seriously wounded husband. Doc Burkhart and I have lots of questions about this incident today. Later in today's edition of True News, we will share with you Jim Rickards' warning about Joe Biden's presidential executive order to accelerate the introduction of a central bank digital dollar. So let's start with the Nancy Pelosi, Paul Pelosi story that has dominated headlines throughout the day. This is a headline from the Daily Mail. I would say this was published in early afternoon.
Yes.
Here in Florida. Paul Pelosi, 82, is in brain surgery after 2 a.m. hammer attack at his $6 million San Francisco home. Attacker, 42, smashed through glass doors, tried to tie him up and shouted, "Where's Nancy?" before battering his head as FBI investigates. Well, Doc, that headline would shock anybody.
Right.
I mean, if it happened just like that, somebody smashed through the doors at 2 a.m. with a hammer, Mr. Pelosi apparently in bed, beating him on the head with his hammer. "Where's your wife?" I mean, it's a horrible attack.
Right.
For anybody. I mean, a lot of citizens endure this every day in cities managed by Democrat mayors where they don't do anything about criminals and they allow them to be released and run around on the streets.
Without bail?
Without bail. It's a horrible thing. Crime is horrible. Nobody should be attacked.
I
Nobody.
agree. Absolutely.
You should be safe in your home, including Mr. and Mrs. Pelosi. Absolutely. But Doc, the moment I heard this story, the moment I first saw the headlines, I immediately began, what I always do in situations like this, I've learned this over the years, move quickly and go to the local news sources as fast as you can.
Yes.
And get as much information as you can from the local TV stations and local reporters before the internet is cleaned up.
Right. And that's more and more true now than it was even a year ago.
Oh, yes.
Because they move quick to modify
it
and change the stories.
and to sanitize it. Okay, so I started to see discrepancies. Now, I understand that in stories like this, news outlets are rushing to get something in print, get something on the air as fast as they can.
Right, and there's a lot of competition out in that market. Right. So many media outlets, they want to be out there with the first story.
Yes, but when you monitor stories like this, you see discrepancies.
Yes.
One outlet is reporting one thing, another outlet is reporting something else. For example, House Speaker Pelosi, her office this morning put out a statement that said her husband had been attacked, but he was recovering well.
Yes.
Well, by the afternoon, he's in brain surgery.
Right.
Well, which one is it? Did not Mrs. Pelosi know the condition of her husband when they put out the statement? Did somebody tell Mrs. Pelosi, he's okay, he's going to be all right? We took him to the hospital, we're checking him out, he's going to be okay, he's going to recover.
Get a statement out.
Get a statement out. Nobody said to her, this is serious, the injuries are extensive, and he's going to have to go into brain surgery. Because ABC News was reporting later in the day extensive injuries. But nobody told Mrs. Pelosi in the morning that her husband was in serious condition. These are the kind of things I see, and I'm wondering, either people aren't getting their facts straight,
or they're getting their lies straight.
They're getting their lies messed up. Okay, twisted. They're getting their lies twisted. They can't go with the same story. So let's look at this. I want to read two quotes. I want Doctor to read two quotes from the Daily Mail article. Now, this came out later in the day. They identified the suspect this afternoon.
David DePepe. And so David DePepe supposedly entered the Pelosi residence through a sliding glass door at the back of the house. Aerial footage showed broken panes of smashed glass at a door to their home. By the way, those aerial photos did not show a sliding door. His target was Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Instead, DePepe found her husband of 59 years. He confronted Paul Pelosi yelling, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" DePepe tried to tie up Paul Pelosi until Nancy got home. When police arrived, the suspect told them, "We're waiting for Nancy," CNN reported.
Okay, let's just stop. Let's just stop right there. Let's go through this line by line. And we'll assume that the Daily Mail has their facts correct. Okay? So Mr. DePepe broke the glass of the sliding glass door and entered the home sometime after 2 a.m. He's looking for Nancy Pelosi. She's not there. He finds Mr. Pelosi. Where was Mr. Pelosi at this hour? Was he in bed? Was he watching television? What was he doing? I mean, these are questions that a police officer would ask.
Right.
Certainly Colombo would ask these questions. Where was he? Where were you, Mr. Pelosi, when the man came through the door? What were you doing at the time? Where did you first encounter the assailant? Did he come into your bedroom? Did you meet him in the living room? Tell us exactly what happened. Now, you might be saying, well, he's got brain damage. He doesn't know. Well, tell me who heard the man shout, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" Who told the police that's what he said?
Correct, Rick. And who said that DePepe, was searching for, Nancy Pelosi? Who recorded this? Who relayed this information later on?
Apparently,
it wasn't David DePepe.
Well, apparently it was Paul Pelosi on a stretcher with his brains beat out because he's in brain surgery right now. And apparently he told the police, he came through the door, he said, "Where's my wife? Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" I'm assuming, because this is what I don't think the police have said this.
No, I don't think so either.
Where did the media get it before the police?
And
where did the media get this information before the police said anything?
And apparently, Mr. Pelosi got tied up by David DePepe.
Okay, so what kind of rope did he have?
Was it nylon rope, fishing rope, twine? What was it?
And what did he tie him to? Was he tied to a chair? Did he just tie his hands behind his back? Did he tie his feet? It said he tried to tie him up. Well, if he tried, and that means he didn't succeed. So what happened? Was there a scuffle? When did this scuffle begin? Because the first report I saw, the police said, this was a local TV station in San Francisco, it said, police said the incident happened sometime between 12 a.m. and 2:30.
Yes.
2.5 hours? They didn't know when it happened? Then later it got narrowed down to 2:27 a.m.
Well, at least that's when a call was made.
No, there was no call made.
Well, the police did a priority check.
No. Let's go on. Let's read the next quote.
Okay, so San Francisco Police Chief William Scott indicated there was some type of confrontation between the two men involving a hammer. But it was unclear who the hammer belonged to, if DePepe brought it with him or if Paul Pelosi had it for defensive reasons. Scott said when his officers entered the home, they observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect both holding a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it. Our officers immediately tackled the suspect, disarmed him, took him into custody, requested emergency backup, and rendered medical aid.
Okay, there's so much in this paragraph. Wow. The police entered the home at 2:27 a.m. They found Paul Pelosi and Mr. DePepe, each of them holding a hammer.
Not each one with a hammer, but holding a single hammer.
Were they fighting over the hammer? Was there a struggle to get control of the hammer, or were they just standing there holding a hammer? What was going? See, that sentence does not make sense. They found both men holding a hammer. They didn't say, we found Mr. Pelosi engaged in a fight for his life with a violent attacker.
With a hammer.
With a hammer, trying to strike him as Mr. Pelosi struggled with him to take the hammer out of his hands. That's not what they found. They found them holding a hammer. The statement is odd. It's a very odd statement. Then let's go back up to the screen and we'll see what the next thing. Okay, so they don't know who owned the hammer. Did DePepe bring the hammer, or did Paul Pelosi have a hammer under his pillow? Which one had the hammer? Chief Scott said when the officers entered the home, they observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect holding a hammer. Now listen to this. The suspect, DePepe, pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it. The officers immediately tackled the suspect. So the beating took place in the presence of the police officers.
Don't miss that.
Let me say this again. Apparently, Paul Pelosi had not been beaten before the police officers arrived, because the chief said he was struck with the hammer in the presence of the police officers.
And with all the detailed information that we had of what occurred before the police arrived, that DePepe was searching through the house,
yelling, "Where's Nancy?"
Yelling, "Where's Nancy?" Tried to tie up Paul Pelosi. We have all that detail, but we don't have anything saying, and he beat Paul Pelosi with a hammer.
Right, so nowhere do they say when they entered the house, Paul Pelosi was covered in blood. He had been beaten savagely, covered in blood. He's struggling with the assailant, trying to get the hammer away from him.
Not at
blood
all.
Running down his face. His skull is cracked. No, he got beat in the presence of the police officers, who apparently stood there for a while and allowed the man to beat Pelosi. Doc.
It's weird.
If you were a police officer and you go to the house of the Speaker of the House of Representatives at 2:27 a.m.
The third highest political
Yes.
position in the United States.
There's a man in the house. We don't know, in the living room, in the kitchen, in the bedroom. We don't know. Nobody's told us. There's a man in there with a hammer. Now, apparently, he has not hit the husband of the Speaker yet. But in your presence, he grabs the hammer and starts pounding the husband of the Speaker of the House. You're a police officer. Would you not taser this guy? Would you not? Okay, I understand you didn't shoot him. Would you not taser him?
Something. Instead, it says they tackled him.
They taser kids. They taser kids. In Israel, they shoot kids. But they didn't do anything here. They tackled the guy, and the guy's still beating the husband of the House Speaker. How many strikes did he lay on Mr. Pelosi's head before the officers got to him? How far away were they? Were they way over on the other side of the room, saying, "Put that hammer down"? How close were they? How much distance between the police officers and DePepe?
A lot of these questions, are not going to be answered at all, are they?
Because they weren't answered in Pelosi's car wreck incident either.
Right.
There were a lot of questions there too. What was he doing out there that hour?
And they hired a firm, and this is true, Rick. They hired a firm, what's called a crisis media firm,
All right.
to work that mess.
That's right.
I think it's already active in this situation, too.
Well, we're not done with this. This gets even weirder. Just wait. Okay, so the next story, this is KTLA television. Suspect shouted, "Where is Nancy?" in attack on Pelosi's husband. Okay, no new information there. But let's read the quote from this report.
All right, so San Francisco Police Chief William Scott announced during a press conference Friday that 42-year-old David DePepe is the suspect arrested in the beating of Paul Pelosi, the husband of Speaker of the House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi, in their San Francisco home. The motive for the attack is still being determined, Scott said. DePepe is being booked on charges of attempted homicide, burglary, elder abuse, and several additional felonies.
Okay, get ready. Here it comes. Here's the weird part.
Now, DePepe was found in the residence by San Francisco Police Department officers during a wellness check, Scott said. Both he and Mr. Pelosi were taken to the hospital.
Whoa, wait a minute. San Francisco Police Department officers just did a routine wellness check at 2:27 a.m. at the Pelosi residence. That's what I'm supposed to believe. That these officers came to work, let's say they started the midnight shift. And the precinct captain said, "You, Jones, you, Smith, tonight you go over to Pelosi's house and do a wellness check. Try to be there by 2:30. Okay, we'll do it. We'll visit the Pelosi home, make sure everybody's okay." Really? Are you telling me nobody called 911? Because I thought about this, Doc. I thought,
you know what?
Wait a minute.
There is no mention of that, is there?
There is none, and I was thinking about it. This is how I got to this wellness check discovery. I kept trying to find, when did Pelosi call 911?
Or anybody.
Well, okay, so I'm assuming Pelosi did. Okay, that he's struggling with this guy. The guy's got a hammer. He's hitting Pelosi on his shoulder and head. And Pelosi's got his iPhone, and he's dialing 911. "Hey, this is Paul Pelosi. I'm under attack. There's a man here saying, 'Where's Nancy?' He's hitting me with a hammer. Please come quickly." No, there was no 911. Well, maybe the neighbors heard Paul Pelosi screaming, "Help, help, I'm being hit with a hammer, help." No. The police did a routine wellness check at 2:27 a.m. Something's weird about this story.
I just assumed a call was made.
No, they did a wellness check.
Oh, my goodness. Well, then...
Okay.
Okay, I'll let you take it. Because that only means a couple things.
Well, if somebody thought something was wrong with Paul Pelosi and they asked the police to do a wellness check, then somebody called 911.
Or called the police.
Well, they had to call 911 to get to the police. They don't do a direct call, Doc. You call 911. They had to call 911 and say, "You know, I think Nancy's away and Paul is there by himself. He's 82 years old. You know, it might be good if you just go over there right now and check on him." And so the police, they're just driving a cruiser over there. They have no idea anything's wrong. We're supposed to believe the story? But if you knew he was being beaten and his life was in danger, you wouldn't request a wellness check. No. You would request a SWAT team.
Yes.
911. I live next door to the Pelosi's. There's a man in there right now. He broke open the door. He's hitting Paul Pelosi with a hammer. Please help him, help him. I want to hear the call.
There was no call.
There was no call to 911. Let's hear the 911 call. "Hello, police. Yes, I think it's time to do a wellness check at the Pelosi home. Bye." Let's hear the calls. Who requested the wellness check? Was Nancy away? Was she looking at surveillance cameras in her house and she saw a stranger with her husband at 2 o'clock in the morning? Did she call the police and say, "I think you should ride over to my house and just see who this man is"? maybe there's something more to the relationship with Pelosi and this man. Something's odd. Was somebody looking at surveillance cameras and saying,
You should go over there.
somebody should go over and see what's going on? There's a stranger in the house. But you wouldn't do a wellness check, would you? Doc, if your dad is passed away, but if you looked on surveillance cameras, if you had an app and your dad knew that you had access to the cameras and hey, Dad, I'm checking up on you. You know, from time to time, I'm just going to look in your house, see how you're doing. And you opened your phone up and you looked at your father's house at 2:27 in the morning.
And there's a stranger.
There's a stranger in there with a hammer.
I'm not going to request a wellness check. I'm going to request the sheriff.
You're going to call 911. Please get over to my father's house right away. There's a stranger in his house with a hammer. I don't know who this man is. I don't know what he's doing. Okay. Don't expect the news media to ask these questions. They don't ask questions. They just smear. They smear the people who ask questions. I'm the one who will be attacked for asking the questions. If there's a logical explanation for these questions, then
let's hear it.
Then let's hear it, and the case is closed. But it's not closed in my mind because I got too many questions. I'm not buying this story yet. I'm just not going to buy it. 1 week before the election, Nancy Pelosi's husband's beaten with a hammer.
Yes, 1 week before the most critical election in recent years. Now, Fox 23, they also had the story as well. Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, attacked with hammer in home break-in. Now, see, earlier today they were calling it a home break-in, okay? So Paul Pelosi, the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, was injured Friday after a person broke into the couple's home in San Francisco and attacked him with a hammer. Chief Bill Scott said the suspect, identified as 42-year-old David DePepe, was taken into custody after officers were dispatched for a welfare check at the home just before 2:30 a.m. At a news conference, Mr. Scott said officers found DePepe and Paul Pelosi at the house with both holding onto a hammer.
All right, go ahead, go finish that.
So the suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it, Scott said. Our officers immediately tackled the suspect, disarmed him, took him into custody, requested emergency backup, and rendered medical aid.
Were they just sitting on the floor holding a hammer? Were they sitting on chairs? Were they standing?
And it doesn't say they were fighting over the hammer.
Didn't say they were struggle, fight for his life, violent confrontation, shouting, screaming. Was there broken glass? Was furniture turned upside down? Mirrors broken?
Was there screaming? Was there shouting?
Was there blood?
Yeah.
How much blood was on the floor? He's savagely beaten. He's in brain surgery. There must have been blood all over the floor. They don't say anything about it, do they? They said the attack took place while the police officers were there.
That's right.
Am I misreading these stories?
No, you're not.
Where is Columbo right now? I mean, this is easy stuff to investigate.
So we have a clip of Chief Scott at the press conference they did earlier this afternoon. We just have a small clip here where he outlines things. So watch this.
Okay, good morning. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chief Bill Scott with the San Francisco Police Department. At approximately 2:27 this morning, San Francisco police officers were dispatched to the residence of Speaker Nancy Pelosi regarding an A-priority well-being check. When the officers arrived on scene, they encountered an adult male and Mr. Pelosi's husband, Paul. Our officers observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect both holding a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it. Our officers immediately tackled the suspect, disarmed him, took him into custody, requested emergency backup, and rendered medical aid. The suspect has been identified as 42-year-old David DePepe. Mr. Pelosi and Mr. DePepe were transported to a local hospital for treatment. This is an active investigation currently being led by the San Francisco Police Department Special Investigations Division. We are working closely with our partners from the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Capitol Police, and our district attorney here in San Francisco County, DA Brooke Jenkins, and her team. The motive for this attack is still being determined. Mr. DePepe will be booked at the San Francisco County Jail on the following charges: attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, burglary, and several other additional felonies.
Nowhere did the chief say there was blood on the floor. There was blood on Mr. Pelosi's face, running down his skull. His skull was cracked.
Or they observed a struggle.
He
or
said,
indication of
he
struggle.
said the officers responded at 2:27 to an A priority well-being check. Those are his words. Who requested the well-being check? If you're being beat with a hammer and you can get to your phone, are you going to say,
hey, could you come over
and check me and see if I'm well? That in itself is odd. Who requested the well-being check at 2:27 a.m.? Were there any wounds on Paul Pelosi's body when the police officers arrived? Was there any blood? Had he been injured? Was there a struggle underway? Was there broken furniture in the room? What room were they in? Were they seated? Were they standing? Were they fighting? Or were they silent? Were they physically struggling for control of the hammer? What exactly took place? Did Mr. Pelosi have a sexual relationship with this man? That's a serious question. You're talking about San Francisco.
Right. And they tried to tie him up anyway, right? So who knows what that might encounter.
Yeah.
There's nothing that indicates from
Was
any
Mr.
of the reports.
Pelosi dressed at the time?
And that's never come up yet either.
No. These are the questions that need to be asked. But don't count on CNN or MSNBC, NBC, ABC, Fox. Don't count on Fox News to ask these questions. Nobody's going to ask them. But let me tell you,
like they didn't ask questions about the car accident a few months
right.
ago. They just let that slide. I mean, really, it wasn't until Jesse Waters started talking about it on Fox that suddenly, well, maybe there is something to this story.
Right.
And there were so many questions about that incident. And now you have this incident as well.
But now CBS News and CNN and other outlets, they are telling us about Mr. DePepe. Okay? He's a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
Okay? Here's CBS television, San Francisco Bay affiliate. Pelosi attack suspect David, is it DePepe?
DePepe.
Embraced hate speech, multiple conspiracy theories.
Here we go. So the suspect in the attack on Paul Pelosi, husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, appears to have been an active online participant in multiple conspiracy theories, railing against perceived censorship and government control, and engaging in hate speech and anti-Semitism. Well, they just hit.
They got it all. They got them all.
Hit the whole bingo card on that one, didn't they? So Rick,
that's all you're going to hear, Doc.
Yeah, that's right. That's it.
All you're going to hear. Hate monger, anti-Semitic, conspiracy theorists, and did they say that he was connected to Mike Lindell? Because that's the other reports, that he was a follower of Mike Lindell. They got Mike Lindell in it, and he also he's also an election denier. They got that one in there also.
So all of it.
All of it. Meanwhile, we don't know why Mr. Pelosi had a wellness check at 2:27 a.m. We don't know why he was holding a hammer. We don't know why the police stood there and allowed him to be beaten in their presence. Because apparently the guy got in a lot of pretty strong licks while the cops were standing there. Enough to put him in brain surgery. The Pelosi's ought to be suing the police department.
Yes. I mean, if that's the case, right? The police allowed him to be attacked.
Well, let's move on to other topics. Okay? We've asked enough questions. While we're in the area of Silicon Valley and San Francisco, today was the first day for Elon Musk running. Well, I guess it was second day where he's actually running the company of Twitter as the chief twit. And today was, I'm sure they had their hands full today.
Well, some had their hands full with packing boxes.
Yes,
today.
he's already started firing people. And yesterday he fired the top 3 executives in the company, the CEO, the CFO, and the chief legal counsel.
That's right. So
Chief legal counsel was actually escorted out of the building.
So among Elon Musk's first moves, changing the leadership at Twitter. The departures include Twitter Chief Executive Officer Parag Agrawal, Vijaya Gadde, the head of legal, policy, and trust, and Chief Financial Officer Ned Siegel, who joined Twitter in 2017. And Sean Edgett, who has been general counsel at Twitter since 2012, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, Edgett was escorted out of the building, according to 2 people who asked not to be identified because that information isn't public right
Doc,
now.
I think the one Vijaya Gadde, I think she was the chief censor.
Right.
I think she was in charge of censoring everybody she didn't like. She got deplatformed today.
So the worm turns, doesn't it?
It does.
So,
you know, I'm going to take out, I got it right here in my pocket, the world's smallest violin, and I want to play a sad song for all the people at Twitter that are being fired, the people that censored us, the people that deplatformed, people like me and others. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm going to play my little violin for them, play a real sad song today.
So today, Kanye West was replatformed on Twitter, and it's likely over the weekend that Donald Trump will be replatformed. And so changes are happening already. But the real deplatforming that's going to take place is the layoffs that are going to happen at Twitter here over the next few days and few months.
75% of the staff.
Right.
And you know what? Because they don't work, they won't even be missed.
Right.
They don't work. They're just little snowflakes. They collect paychecks.
Some haven't even been at work since COVID started.
Right. That's what I mean. Life will continue at Twitter because they're useless employees. It won't matter. And Elon Musk knows it. He knows he can get rid of 3/4 of them and the company will operate.
Now, setting aside social commentary, removing that even from the conversation, Elon Musk is making a business move here to trim the fat of Twitter. Because, let's face it, the only, really all Twitter is technology, servers, and people.
Yes.
And he can't cut back on the servers and hardware. He has to cut back on the people that aren't working. So don't feel too sorry for the people being laid off at Twitter.
No. And they were people who hate people like you and me.
Right.
Bye. You have to get a real job now. Okay?
You've been deplatformed.
Yes, you've been deplatformed. So let's take a look what else is going on out there.
So
Bay Area sees mass layoffs in tech and biotech industries.
So this is just the beginning here. Over the next few weeks, between now and the end of the year, you are going to see massive cuts by all the Silicon Valley companies out there. It is going to be bloody. Recession fears have reportedly prompted mass layoffs in Silicon Valley. That has naturally prompted concern over the impacts the job losses will have on the local economy. So here are some of the recent developments. Google said it would slow its hiring pace and cut back on expenses such as business travel. So translating that, they are going to quit hiring. Intel is anticipating layoffs in the thousands, according to Bloomberg. Although the company employs 8,400 people in Silicon Valley, it has not yet confirmed the plans, but an announcement is expected in the coming days. Realtor.com based in Santa Clara, laid off an undisclosed number of employees last month, citing the slowing real estate market. About 10% of the company's employees are located out of the Bay Area. Now, it's not clear what percentage of this group was affected by recent cutbacks. Netflix announced plans to cut spending earlier this year and began laying off employees in the spring. A number of journalists for the company's entertainment site Tutum were let go in late April, followed by internal layoffs through the summer, totaling over 400. Oracle and BioMarin, headquartered in San Mateo and Marin counties, are among other Bay Area companies experiencing notable layoffs. So the culling has begun, Rick.
Yes, it has.
The tech companies. The tech boom has come to an end, and it has it's being sewed up now as companies from Amazon to Meta, Facebook, adjust to new turbulent times. So this is a headline from yesterday. Now, we've talked about some of the layoffs. We've talked about some of the gutting that's going to take place. But what does that really mean as far as numbers are concerned? Well, let's take Facebook, for example, now known as Meta. Meta is seeing its shares plunge 24% to the lowest price since 2016. So Meta's Reality Labs division, which Mark Zuckerberg has poured a ton of money in, which houses its VR headsets, lost over $9 billion for the company just in the first 3 quarters of this year.
Doc, Mark Zuckerberg's net worth has plunged billions of dollars. He's still a billionaire, but he's not as big of a billionaire as he was a month ago. He's taken a severe hit. And Facebook, I think Facebook's going to disappear. Bye.
Well, it's going to become something else. And
Well, already, I mean,
it's going to become like MySpace.
Yeah.
MySpace still exists, but who goes there?
Nobody.
So
It's going to fade away. So let's see, Facebook, they deplatformed me also. I'm still here. Facebook's fading away. TruNews is going to continue. Okay, we're not hurting here. You know why? Because we look to God. Our source is Almighty God. And I don't depend on the world for my finances. My faith is in Jesus Christ. He is everything that I need. And so I don't worry about outside economic conditions. And I've been through good times and hard times, lean times, and plus you just keep your faith in God. And that's my advice to you right now. If you've never been through a severe financial downturn in the economy, don't panic, don't be afraid, don't worry. Put your faith in God. You'll go through it. This is going to last for years. This is not going to go away in a couple months. This is a 10 to 15 year cycle. And depending on your age at this time, it's going to affect you differently. But don't expect this to disappear, to fade away in a couple months or the next election or anything else. This is a cycle. Learn cycles, and you'll learn how to ride them.
Yes.
Like a wave.
But here's the deal, Rick. We've been talking about these tech layoffs coming for over a year and a half now. Mm-hmm. We've been saying, get prepared. It's coming. It's coming in 2023.
Well,
but as early as recently as 3 or 4 months ago, in May and June, they were still touting tech stocks as the buy, big buy.
The TV network pimps.
Yes.
Were still pimping. They were still pimping Meta stock and other tech stocks.
Yes.
Right? And Jim Cramer at CNBC, whom I wouldn't listen to his advice for anything. I mean, Doc, you and I have the same opinion. Yeah. If he recommends it,
don't do it.
Don't do it. So, but I'm going to show you. This is Jim Cramer on CNBC last June. This is what he said about Meta stock.
Now let's move on to your big guest last night, who was Mr. Zuckerberg. You took a trip into the metaverse, Zuckerberg telling you it's going to be a big thing over the next decade.
The metaverse, it's this broad thing. It's not just virtual and augmented reality, although those are going to be some of the new major computing platforms that need to get invented for this. But it's also, I think, going to be the next kind of most immersive and rich way that people want to express themselves across social media, too. So it kind of goes across everything that we do, and it's going to be a big theme for us over the next decade.
Darn. Well, better be a big theme.
Oh, there it is. You do look like a strip club bouncer.
My actual avatar in the metaverse from Mark
is much better. Yeah.
Now, you're talking about 1 billion people. You're talking about $100 per person. You're talking about market share take by Zuckerberg because he's simply unstoppable.
That was June. June.
End of June.
Zuckerberg and Meta are unstoppable. You want to invest your money in the Meta stock. Okay. Well, here is Jim Cramer this week.
Yes.
He's crying on television. He's so sorry. He apologized for pushing Meta stock. And he actually choked up and apologized to all the people who believed him and put their money in Mark Zuckerberg's Meta. And we got a video clip of Mr. Cramer crying his crocodile tears.
Let's watch.
Free cash flow last year, $9.5 billion, now less than $1 billion. Yeah, let me say this about this. I made a mistake here. I was wrong. I trusted this management team. That was ill-advised. Hubris here is extraordinary. And I apologize.
Okay. What did you get wrong?
He had a hard time explaining that. Yeah.
He trusted the Facebook marketing team, management team. In other words, he went on television and repeated what they told him. And because Zuckerberg was, as of June, was saying, hey, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened. You know, and Cramer just went with it. So now he's crying on television. Things are changing, folks. Don't be worried about what's happening in the economy. But I'll show you another one. This is Hollywood Reporter. Layoffs to hit CNN as CEO Chris Light tells staff that restructuring will accelerate soon.
In other words, get your Christmas shopping done now. Layoffs are expected to hit CNN as the new CEO, is expressing that these layoffs and other cuts are going to be coming in the coming weeks, as Global News Division responds to a worsening economic climate and as Warner Brothers Discovery continues its effort to bring together the Warner Media and Discovery businesses. Once again, this is a trimming of fat. CNN CEO Chris Light explained the rationale in a memo to staff Wednesday, adding that our aim is to have most of these decisions made by the end of the year so we can start 2020 feeling settled and prepared for the future. Translation, Rick, it's going to be a tough Christmas for some CNN employees here very, very soon.
Yes, it is. I had a businessman tell me the other day, he said he just came out of a high-level meeting. The people involved were not CNN, so I don't want to infer that. But he said that he was told CNN will not make it. That it's actually, they're going to close it. That's what he was told.
That's radical, Rick.
I know. I'm not confirming that. I'm just telling what I was told several days ago in a phone call. What's happening? Fake news is struggling right now, isn't it?
Yes.
TruNews is growing. Fake news is having hard times. Oh my, this must be making our enemies pull their hair out. We're going to sit back and watch this happen, Doc. See, I just have, I've never been the glamorous one doing this job. Over 24 years, I've watched people come and go, become stars, become
Villains.
the celebrities and everything, and I've watched them come and go. And I've just been like the turtle, you know. I just keep inching along. And when my enemies and critics start pounding on me, I just go inside my shell and I wait until I don't hear any more rocks hitting my shell. And when it's safe,
Stick your head out.
I stick my head out and I start moving again. And inch by inch, I just keep making progress. It's not real glamorous. People don't get super excited about it. I don't hype up TruNews and make it something that it's not. This is it, folks. It is what it is. But I'll tell you what it is. It's financially stable. It's solvent. It's secure. It ain't going away. It's not collapsing. CNN's in trouble. Meta's in trouble. They're all in trouble right now. Some of them are not going to make it, Doc.
Right. And it's only going to get worse. They're responding to what they see a forecast going on into the next year. So in his memo, Light cited the worsening macroeconomic environment as one reason for the cuts. There's widespread concern over the global economic outlook, and we must factor that risk into our long-term planning, Light wrote. All this together will mean a noticeable change to this organization. That, by definition, is unsettling. These changes will not be easy because they will affect people, budgets, and projects. Coming soon to a news channel near you.
That's right. There may be a day in the next year that CNN simply isn't there. It's just gone. They closed down. Couldn't make it. Couldn't continue. Or they become something totally different.
Right.
Or
Which
they
is
merge,
a possibility,
or they
too.
merge with another company. I want to say this again. I've been through financial downturns. When I got married, I was 20 years old, and we had severe financial hardships in the United States at that time, in the mid-'70s. I'll never forget Alan Greenspan as the economic advisor to Gerald Ford. I won't forget Betty Ford and her whip inflation now buttons. We were going to bring down prices by wearing win buttons.
Yes.
Okay. The gasoline shortages, buying gasoline on odd and even days, the lines of people, the lines of cars to get gasoline. I won't forget about Richard Nixon telling people to turn out their lights, not to have Christmas lights on. Okay, went through all that stuff. All right, waves of inflation while I was a young man trying to raise a family, and it was difficult. All right, I'll never forget those times. It wasn't a Great Depression, but it was, for me, you know the difference between a recession and a depression?
How you lived through it?
Well, it's kind of, you're close. Okay, a recession, Doc, is when you lose your job. A depression is when I lose my job. That's the difference, okay? But it was, it was difficult. But God was faithful. I was a young Christian. I learned a lot about faith and trusting God.
But you also learned to work too.
Oh, believe me, I learned to work, and that's all I know. You work with me, Doc.
Yeah.
I work.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of people would like to do what I do, and they brag that they're going to do it. Well, they don't work. Okay, they just don't work. I'm up at 4 a.m., and some of these guys are getting up at 9, 10 a.m. to do their little podcast. Well, you got to get up at 4 a.m., and you got to work until the evening, okay? They don't do that. They're unwilling to work, and you have to study, and there's just a lot of effort that you have to do. Nothing comes easy. But if you're consistent and persistent, God will honor you. God will honor people who work. And see, what's happening right now, people who aren't working, they get paid, but they don't work, they're going to lose their jobs. Because employers are not going to fire hardworking employees.
They need them.
They need them. They're going to get rid of the loafers. All right, that's what's going to happen. So don't be a loafer. But just trust the Lord, become a giver. Look, you got to do this for not just a couple times. I'm telling you, this is not going to be a 3 to 6 month financial crisis. This is a 10 to 15 year financial crisis. And you're going to have to change your thinking, your behavior, the way you see life, and the way you plan your life. You're going to have to make major adjustments. So you will go through this with the right attitude. Become a giver. You need to begin giving to the work of God. Not only this ministry, but find other churches and ministries that are preaching the real, true gospel of the kingdom. Help orphans, help widows. Do the things that the Bible tells us to do.
Right.
Be merciful to the poor. Just look, there are people around you who need help. There will be friends and neighbors who can't pay their bills, and you need to step in and help pay their bills. Do these things. Trust me. Over time, you will look back and you will realize that God was good to you, that He took care of you, that He met your needs. It might be 10 years from now that you look back and go, wow, a lot of people suffered during that time. A lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people went broke, but God was good to me.
Amen. Don't
expect just one or two things that you do makes the difference. No, it's daily doing little things. Life is not big decisions. Life is daily little decisions. There are very few big decisions that we make, but we make a lot of little decisions. How many big decisions did you make today?
Not a lot. But
How many
I made
little?
a little decision.
You made a lot. And tomorrow, it'll be the same.
Right. I have a motto, big doors swing on little hinges.
That's right.
And so if you show up at work on time, if you put in a full day's work, if you work to make your workplace the best place it can possibly be, if your boss fires you or lays you off, he's an idiot. You need to be someplace else.
Or the company is in such bad shape
that they have to.
They have
and
to.
You don't want to be
And that's
there.
the case. You want to get out of there.
So, but don't let the excuse be you didn't work hard enough.
That's right. So, don't be afraid of what's happening. The other thing, look at what is happening and see the hand of God moving in this. God is shutting down. He's bringing judgment and correction to these far left corporations that have been persecuting the church of God.
Yes.
The very companies that have been censoring us and persecuting us are now themselves struggling to stay open. Twitter, all right, that even censored the President of the United States. The very people in that company that clapped and cheered for Donald Trump to be censored, they're losing their jobs. My, how things have turned. CNN, it spewed out lie after lie, propaganda after propaganda, attack after attack.
By the wayside.
They're gone. Those people in that company are going to be fired. Some of them have already been fired. So see the hand of God moving in these situations.
Discern the times, as the Bible
discern
says.
the times and know what Israel should do. Be the sons of Issachar. All right, that you discern the times and know what Israel should do. There will be big businesses right now that 5 years from now, 3 years from now,
Won't exist.
They won't exist. They just won't exist. You know, I can rattle off the names of corporations. Some of you know them, and others you'll say, I never heard of it. Because in my lifetime, I saw them as big corporations that everybody did business with, and then one day they just disappeared.
I'll name a couple examples here. Sears. Where's Sears at now?
Well, there's a big empty building down the road here.
How about Kmart?
There's another big empty building down the road. When's the last time you've been to Blockbuster?
Well, and the last one finally closed.
And when's the last time you bought clothing at Montgomery Ward's?
It's been a while.
How about Spiegels? Look at the businesses that are gone. Some of them are hanging on by thread in a different form.
Or the brands are...
The brand, yeah. But they're gone. So you're going to see this happen. In the last cycle like this, in the 70s and 80s, there were new corporations that formed that succeeded. Apple is one of them. Home Depot is another one. So you will see major corporations that are at the top right now. And in 5 years from now, they will not be here. But right now, in the next 5 years, there will be new companies started that 15 years from now will be huge. You could be the founder of one of them. You have to think that way. Ask the Lord, give me an idea. Give me, the Bible talks about witty inventions. Just an old English term, witty invention. Ask the Lord to give you an invention, an idea, a service, a concept that can make you prosper. Because there will be new ways to do old things.
That's right.
Success is not creating a new thing. It's creating a new way to do an old thing. It's just people do the same thing.
Right. So Home Depot is a great example. People have always been buying lumber.
Right.
People have always been buying bolts and nuts. Home Depot found a way to do it nationally, lower the cost, and provide the same experience. It doesn't matter what Home Depot you walk into, you're going to have the exact same experience.
That's right.
You're going to know where everything is. You're going to walk right to it. You're going to know where the tile is, the carpet is, the lumber is, the blocks, every one of them. They solved the issue of distribution, okay? They still sell lumber. There are Ace Hardware stores still out there.
Yes.
But you can't buy lumber there anymore.
That's right.
Because Home Depot found a better way to do it.
When I was young, we went to a lumber yard.
Right.
Now, where are the
lumber yards? Used to be 84, remember the 84 lumber stores? They used to be everywhere. Where are they now?
They don't exist.
Right. So,
in the 1890s, people were still traveling in horses and carriages. Then the automobile was created, and they called it the horseless carriage. It was a new way to do an old thing.
And what was the old thing? Moving people.
Moving people.
And what was the new method? Instead of a horse, you had an engine.
Yes. And we still measure the power of the engine by horsepower.
Horsepower.
Did you all think about that? Why do we say horsepower and about the power of an engine? Because they were comparing the strength of horses to the energy produced by an engine. So automobiles became horseless carriages, and now we're going to have driverless cars.
Right.
It'd just be a new way to do an old thing, move people. So what we're saying here is be positive thinking, be expecting, ask the Lord to give you an idea. Some of you are going to become very successful in the next 10, 15 years. If the Lord doesn't come back in that time, we don't know when he's coming back. So engage in business.
Until
Use
he
your
comes.
talents.
Yes.
Engage in business until he comes. Take advantage of every opportunity. Don't go hiding somewhere. Don't run off to a bunker. Engage in business and use the talents and the gifts that the Lord has given you. You're going to be held accountable for it someday. You're going to say, what did you do with that talent? Did you double it or did you hide it? Okay. So we're all responsible for the things that he's given us. I'm going to go through these because I'm looking at the clock here, and there's some really good things I want you to hear. By the way, the Wall Street Journal said if the Philadelphia Phillies win the World Series, prepare for an economic crisis.
Well, there is a pattern. We're not saying that the Phillies caused the economic crisis, but there is a pattern that exists. The Philadelphia Phillies are in the World Series. Hold on to your wallets. When Philadelphia baseball teams do well in a pattern that has held for nearly a century, financial markets tend to strike out. Now, it started with the old Philadelphia Athletics before they left town. Their 1929 championship preceded the stock crash and Great Depression. In 1980, the Phillies won their first World Series, and a recession raged right through 1983. When the team again got to the final round and lost, The Phils won the World Series a second time in 2008, and boom, a home run financial crisis. Now, in 2008, when the Phillies were on their way to a championship, the Philadelphia Inquirer wondered if a victory would be a harbinger of economic doom. Locally based analysts at serious-minded Moody'sEconomy.com postulated that the team's success could be a leading economic factor. So Mark Zandi, chief economist at what is now called Moody's Analytics, speculates that because the Phillies have won the World Series so few times when they do, it is clear something is off the rails in the cosmos. As a Philadelphia native, he says he will cheer a Phillies championship, but I will also be buckling in as well. Well, we know that baseball teams don't determine the economic climate, but it could give you an indication of the mood of people and just social cycles.
That's right.
Just observe that. Consider the times. It doesn't mean that it's written in stone, but it should cause you to reflect. Well, now the last time the Phillies were in the series, we had this happen.
For the last time for the last 100 years.
Yes.
When the Phillies win the World Series, there's an economic bust. I found two old images I want to show you. This is a 1929 Philadelphia Athletics team. This was the team before the Phillies. That's what the team looked like. And then here is the 1929 newspaper headline, the Brooklyn Daily Eagle, which this is right after the Phillies won the World Series.
Right.
So, the Phillies are in the World Series right now. And what are we talking about?
Potential.
Economic crisis.
Yes.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad author warns triple bubble crash is here. Millions will be wiped out.
Right. If you've never read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I'd recommend that you do that. Rich Dad, Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki warns that the U.S. economy is facing down the massive headwinds of a triple bubble. Kiyosaki tells his 2.7 million YouTube subscribers that the U.S. is currently facing a real estate bubble, a stock market bubble, and a bond bubble simultaneously.
You know, Doc, when I read this today, the first thing I thought about was that dream I had several years ago with the 3 waves that came in.
Right.
It was the first thing that came to my mind.
It says, Kiyosaki says he's waiting for Bitcoin to crash, nearly 95% from its current value of around 20,000. Rich Dad lesson, losers quit when they lose. Bitcoin losers are quitting, winners learn from their losses. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to test $1,100. If it recovers, I'll buy more. If it does not, I'll wait for losers to capitulate, quit, and then buy more.
Doc, when I first saw that today, I thought, okay, that's a typo. He meant 11,000.
No, he means 1,100. He means a substantial drop in Bitcoin.
I'm not even sure if it's going to. I mean, I have been expecting it to go down around 9 to 13,000 in that range, but not $1,100.
Well, and the reason why we might see that drop, though, Rick, is because of competition that's coming from other sectors. Kiyosaki also argues to his, Kiyosaki said, I'm sorry, we're on this one. Kiyosaki also argues to his 2 million Twitter followers that investors need to change their investment mindset before adjusting their portfolio. He's right about that, by the way. It's not what's in your wallet, it's what's in your head. All markets are crashing: real estate, stocks, gold, silver, Bitcoin. The middle class will be wiped out by higher oil inflation. Yet the rich are getting richer. The difference in head, not wallet. Change what's in your head first and then get richer. So he says, gives an example from 2008. 2008 was a great time to get rich. Everything went on sale. Borrowed millions of dollars buying real estate bargains. 2013, I published Rich Dad's Prophecy predicting a bigger crash coming. That crash is here. Millions will be wiped out. Please do not be one of them. Time you get richer. So if you know these things are happening, if you know these cycles are taking place, you can at least think, how do I prepare for that? I hate to put it this way, but how do I take advantage of the situation? There are going to be winners and losers in the market. Why should you be the loser in the market?
Right.
Now, if it's violating a principle of faith or violating a moral or something like that, that's one thing. But if it's a business decision, it's not a moral decision. It's not a negative decision. It's a business decision.
Mm-hmm. And the Lord will give you wisdom. Ask Him every day for wisdom and understanding. Those are the two priority requests you should make every day. Wisdom and understanding.
Yes. Seek
the kingdom of God with all your heart, and all these things will be added unto you. What things? Things. He will add it unto you, but seek the kingdom. Seek the kingdom of God first. Make it your highest priority, your greatest priority, the thing that motivates you the most, the kingdom of God. And He, the Lord, will add all these things unto you. You don't have to go chasing money. You don't have to go chasing wealth. You don't have to go chasing success. It will come to you. He will drive it to you. Just you seek Him first. Make Him the desire of your heart. This next one is from Forbes. I'm not going to, some of these I'm going to go through pretty quickly. Asian and Middle East central banks claim success with digital currency pilot. And this is talking about CBDCs, central bank digital coins. The next one is Cointelegraph, Kazakhstan, to build central bank digital currency. And then we'll go to an article from CoinDesk. Central Bank of Turkey plans to launch CBDC in 2023. Another article from CoinDesk. Central banks of Israel, Norway, and Sweden team up to explore retail CBDC, central bank digital coin. And then this is Forbes. Now this goes back 2 years, May of 2020. Visa applies for digital dollar blockchain patent. And they actually, I'll show you on, let's see, number 43. This is an image of the patent from Visa credit card for this patent, a digital dollar blockchain patent. And then the next diagram shows you how they will implement the digital currency. But in the patent, and we'll go to number 41. I do want to read this one, 41.
So the full abstract of the patent filed by Visa is described as techniques are disclosed which include receiving by a central entity computer a request for a digital currency. The request includes a serial number and a denomination of a physical currency. The central entity computer generates the digital currency for the denomination and linked to the serial number. Now, Visa's patent goes on to state the generating includes recording the digital currency on a blockchain. The central entity computer transmits a notification of the generation of the digital currency. The central entity computer causes removal of the physical currency from the circulation in a fiat currency system.
That's the line I wanted you to see. The central entity computer causes removal of the physical currency from circulation in a fiat currency system. This is in the Visa patent. They're going to eliminate
cash.
Cash.
That's the plan. And on one-to-one basis. As they create a digital currency of any kind, they'll remove that currency from the current physical fiat system.
Yes. But actually recall physical money. They've already started it with change.
Yeah, see all the signs? You are national change shortage.
There's no shortage.
No, they're taking it out of circulation.
Okay, number 45. This is Reuters. SWIFT. That's the interstate bank wire system. Sets out blueprint for central bank digital currency network. So this article is about what I'm going to skip through it because I've got some videos I want us to watch before we close this thing down. But the article is explaining how the SWIFT bank network is preparing to roll over to a digital currency system. I don't even know why you need SWIFT when you go to digital coins.
Right.
You don't need SWIFT anymore. They're just trying to come up with a reason to stay in existence. Now, here's the one I want you to see. Number 49, U.S. Senator introduces bill that prohibits government from eliminating cash when the CBDC is created. This is Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma. Introduced the No Digital Dollar Act that prohibits the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve from interfering with Americans using paper currency if a digital currency is adopted, and makes certain that individuals can maintain privacy over their transactions using cash and coins. Doc, what does he mean by maintaining privacy over the use of their money?
Well, if I have $1 and I want to buy something from you, whatever it is, I can give you $1 and you can give me that thing or service in return.
And nobody knows it.
No one has to be involved with it. No one needs to look in on it.
But if you buy my product using a digital dollar,
and it's on the blockchain, you have not only the transaction of that whatever took place, but the history of every transaction that occurred with that piece of currency.
and you can follow that one digital dollar for the next 1,000 years.
Yes.
You know where it went.
And you know who used it, you know what was exchanged, and you know where it's been and where it's going.
I have not interviewed Jim Rickards for a number of years. I probably should go back and start doing interviews again. There's a lot of work, but maybe I will. I always enjoyed talking to Jim Rickards. He's a very well-informed, intelligent, educated man. And he has been warning about Joe Biden's scheme to eliminate the American dollar. And this is for real. Mr. Biden signed an executive order months ago that orders the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve to accelerate its study of a digital bank central dollar, central bank digital dollar. And I've known about this executive order, and I've tried to follow it, but when you hear Jim Rickards explain it in simple detail, what is coming under the Biden plans, he calls them Biden bucks, but it's a wipeout of our currency system. And this is happening and is underway, and very few people know about it. I took one of Mr. Rickards' videos, and we broke it up into, I think, four different segments.
Yes.
To give you the real meat of this warning. And but you can go to Jim Rickards' website and get the full details. And he's obviously offering his advice on what to do, how you can try to insulate yourself from the damage this is going to do to all of us if Biden succeeds in eliminating cash. He seems to be alarmed that this may happen much sooner than any of us are expecting, possibly in months.
Months, no later than the end of next year.
Yeah. All right, let's watch the first segment.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me for today's talk. There's an urgent situation unfolding in America, and today I'll unveil all the unnerving details. So let's get started with a critical question. Where were you on March 9th, 2022, when President Biden signed the death warrant on American freedom? On that day, in a hush ceremony at the White House, without the approval of Congress, the states, or the American people, Biden signed into law Executive Order 14067. Buried in his order are a few paragraphs titled Section 4. The language in Section 4 makes Order 14067 the most treacherous act by a sitting president in the history of our republic, because Section 4 sets the stage for legal government surveillance of all U.S. citizens, total control over your bank accounts and purchases, and the ability to silence all dissenting voices for good. In this new war on freedom, the Dems aren't coming for your guns. No, they're thinking much bigger than that. They're coming for your money. And it's already started. Hi, my name is Jim Rickards. I'm a former advisor to the Pentagon, the White House, Congress, the CIA, and the Department of Defense. I'm also an attorney, investment banker, and author of 7 books on currencies and international economics. When places like Fox, CNBC, or Bloomberg want to know what's about to shake up the global economy, they call me. Most of all, like you, I'm a proud American patriot. The disturbing predictions you're about to see are based on my independent research and my contacts in the intelligence community. I've never made this kind of public announcement before, but it's my duty to pull the alarm. This is what I believe Section 4 of Biden's order means for all Americans. The U.S. dollar will be made obsolete. Soon your cash will be confiscated or will simply be worthless paper. The cash currency we have now will be replaced with a new programmable digital token. But the truth is, few outside the deep state recognize Biden's move for what it really is. If my predictions are correct, this is so much more sinister than simply replacing the cash dollar with a new digitized version. Friend, this new currency will allow for total control of all American citizens, because every digital dollar will be programmed by the government. That means they will be able to turn on or turn off your money at will. Not only that, but they'll be able to track and record every purchase you make. This is very different than online banking and has nothing to do with crypto. I'll explain everything in a moment, but what you need to know now is AOC has already publicly declared her support for a government-controlled spyware currency. The digital dollar means Dems would be able to punish any contribution, purchase, or even social media comment that they don't like. And this isn't something years away. It's starting now. Biden's secret army has been hard at work, and U.S. trials are already well underway. In fact, our government is racing to catch up. China and Russia have already launched pilot programs for their own digital currencies. More than half the countries in the world and almost 90% of central banks are testing or exploring a digital currency right now. In my opinion, it's not a question of will the U.S. implement a digital dollar. It's just a question of when. And the answer to that is it's already happening. Under Project Lithium and Project Hamilton, the new spyware currency has been quietly tested for several years. There's no stopping it. I predict we'll see a digital dollar in circulation next year or 2024 at the latest. I must warn you, some of this will be difficult to watch, but if you care about your money and your freedom, please do not turn away. Thanks to what you'll witness here, you're about to be much more prepared for the coming storm than your neighbors, and that's a very powerful position to be in.
So there you're hearing Jim Rickards explain what Joe Biden is doing. And Joe Biden, I mean, obviously Joe Biden didn't come up with this. He doesn't even know where he's at. It's his handlers around him. They have been working on this for a long time. They're ready to implement it. And the real scary thing, you know, I could handle a digital, I mean, really, we've got digital money now.
Right.
Okay?
I mean, when you use a debit card, you're transferring imaginary money from one place to another. You're just not pulling cash out of a wallet or out of your bank account or even out of an ATM.
Yes. What makes this different is that there is an invisible digital coin, a $1, all right, $100, whatever currency, okay, denomination do you have, that has a number that's on the blockchain, and it's identified with you, and you have a number. They're numbering everything, everybody and everything in the entire world. This is the beast system. Everybody will have a number, and the governments will know what you did with your money. And so they can follow your transactions. But what Jim Rickards was saying that's so chilling is that if they want to turn off your money, they don't have to come and confiscate your money. They don't have to go to a bank and say, we're confiscating the money of this man. They just turn off your digital dollars. Your dollars don't work anymore.
Right.
You can't transfer them. You can't do anything. The other thing is, they know who you're donating to.
That's right, and he brings that up in a future segment here. And so
they know who will give to churches. They will know who gives to various political campaigns. They will know exactly what you do with your money. And your history, your financial history, will stay with you your entire life.
Right.
You'll have no privacy whatsoever. We're already seeing this with PayPal. Supposedly PayPal has implemented their $2,500 fine for posting anything online that they don't like.
Right, and it's completely arbitrary. It's just their decision.
It's in
my terms of service.
I've tried. Have you seen it?
Yes.
You actually have seen it?
Yeah,
Because
it's in my terms of service on PayPal. I still have a PayPal account. And it does say in there, a $2,500 fee, that they can take it out of your account.
Well, when are you going to cancel your account? No, I'm serious. When are you going to cancel?
That's a great question now.
Doc, my understanding is that not only will they take it out of your PayPal account,
but
they'll
any
reach
account,
into your bank account and get it.
If it's linked to your account.
Yes. Why would anybody have a PayPal account? They're telling you, if you do something, if you say something, if you post something, Doc, you do this program. Do you know how much that they could take from you?
Yes, I know exactly how much they could take from me.
I'm just saying they could they could rule this program to be offensive.
And they can do it per instance.
Per instance, okay? Everybody should cancel your PayPal account. This is like red alert at this point. Cancel your PayPal account. Get out of that system. When a corporation says, we are the police, not only will we deplatform you,
we'll take your money,
we'll rob you. We will rob you. If you put something on Facebook that we don't like, if you send an email and we find out about it, we don't like it, we're taking $2,500 from you.
Or in the future, shutting your currency off,
yes.
Your money off.
Right. So cancel your PayPal account now. Do not give these people any more money. So this is what they want to do with the entire money system in the United States, and in fact, it's worldwide. Doc, do you know where the first place that already has digital money already operating?
China?
No.
No?
The Caribbean islands, St. Kitts, Antigua. There's like 11 islands with the EC.
And it's already up and running and
yes.
operating
yes.
right now.
Is
it working alongside
yes.
the physical fiat?
Yes. The Caribbean islands, they tested it there. They were the first. Let's watch another one from Jim Rickards. He goes deeper into this plot by the globalists to take away our money.
Imagine if you were German in 1923 and able to somehow avoid the 29,500% hyperinflation that made their money worthless. Or if you could have opted out of Roosevelt's confiscation of all private gold in 1933. That's the power of asset emancipation. And I'll show you everything right now. Thanks to Section 4 of Biden's Order 14072, ordering urgent research into developing the digital dollar, I believe the U.S. dollar, the standard of the world since 1792, will be replaced by a new currency, the digital dollar. These new electronic currencies are called CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies. I call the digital dollar Biden bucks because I want him to take full credit for what I consider to be crimes. This is not like the money in your online bank account. No, this is new and different. Every digital dollar will be a programmable token like Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, but there's a big difference. Cryptocurrencies are decentralized digital currencies. Instead, if it plays out the way I see it, Biden bucks will have the full backing of the U.S. Federal Reserve. They will replace the cash, fiat dollar we have now, and will soon be the sole mandatory currency of the United States. When Biden bucks are rolled out, many experts, myself included, believe they will begin an era of total government control and surveillance. This is not hyperbole. This would dramatically expand the power and influence of the federal government, essentially acting as a new type of spyware. With Biden bucks, the government will be able to force you to comply with its agenda, because if you don't, they could turn off your money. This won't be like freezing a bank account. It will be so much easier, because Biden bucks will be digital tokens programmed at the source. They could be turned on or off at will with just a keystroke, and they could be reprogrammed at any time. With Biden's secret surveillance army running the show, the anti-freedom implications are almost limitless. For example, Biden bucks could be programmed to allow only certain kinds of purchases. Imagine what this new world could look like. You want to keep an internal combustion engine car? Your digital dollar suddenly won't pay for gas. Instead, you can be forced to buy an electric vehicle. That's just the tip of the fascist iceberg. They can force you to get vaccinated. They can force you into solar. They can force you to use less water or heat. They can force you to eat fake plant-based meat. They can control where you are allowed to travel. They can stop you purchasing certain items like guns, ammo, or survival supplies. They can control to which candidates you're allowed to donate. And they'll know every single place you spend your money, forever. America would become a surveillance state like China or North Korea. Every single aspect of your life could be controlled because they'll control your money. In fact, I fully expect them to implement a social credit rating system like in China. Say the wrong thing on social media, buy the wrong thing, subscribe to the wrong news channel, give money to the wrong candidate, and your rating drops. Suddenly your Biden bucks are frozen or disappearing from your account. This is already happening in China. There, a low social score gets you officially labeled untrustworthy. They can take away your ability to travel, restrict your internet access, deny your family the best schools or jobs. They may even take away your pets. I'm not kidding. All this is going on today. But that's China, an oppressive communist country. Could this really happen in a democracy? Just ask the truckers in Canada, because that's exactly what happened to them. Their Prime Minister Trudeau was granted special emergency powers during the peaceful trucker protest over his forced vaccination law. He then ordered all banks to freeze the accounts of the protesters and anyone who aided them in any way. And it wasn't just a threat. That fascist froze the bank accounts of non-violent protesters. He locked up over $6 million in private accounts for protesting a forced vaccination law that truckers believe violated their sovereign human rights. Think about that. They protested his policies, so he took away their money. Think our current government would love to do that? Me too. Under Biden bucks, we'll lose many of our God-given American rights. They'll be replaced by total government surveillance and control. For almost all Americans, this would be the death of freedom, forever.
Intense, isn't it?
Yes. You don't realize how much rides on just understanding this concept of this change that's taking place.
Yes.
The ability for a government, a centralized government, to be able to reach into your virtual wallet, if you will, and to deny you access to your funds, your earnings, your wealth, and basically deplatform you from the financial system.
Well, some people said that would never happen, but PayPal just started it.
Right.
And there's no outcry. There's hardly any awareness that they're doing it until people start losing their money. And then there will be an outcry. But it'd be too late because money has already been pulled out of bank accounts. They could do a purge in one day. Think about it. PayPal could launch a preemptive strike on conservatives on one day.
Right.
And wipe out their accounts.
And go back in time to comments, posts,
Yes.
pictures, associations in the past.
Because if they have access to your account, they can keep tapping it for multiple offenses. And one day, Doc, you could get out of bed and suddenly you're told that all your checks are bouncing. And you look in your checking account and you find out that PayPal withdrew everything in fines. And you can't do anything about it because you checked the I agree to these terms of service. They launched this attack on millions of people on one day and literally steal millions of dollars from conservatives, from Christians, from patriots on one day. It's now doable. If you have a PayPal account, you are asking them to rob you. And you're telling yourself they wouldn't do it. Yes, they would. They would do it. The fact that they told you they're going to do it is proof they're going to do it. They plan to rob you. You got to get out of PayPal. I'm kind of thinking I might save the other two for Monday.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, and I don't really want to rush through this. We're already at the 90-minute mark. So, hey, one thing, pretty soon, we're going to go to Jordan, God willing.
Yes.
And there's 48 of you who are going with Doc and May to Jordan. See, so we're leaving November 9th from JFK Airport, New York City. And we're going to have a great trip. And we're going to get to know each other. and I'm looking forward to it. I would tell you this: if you're scheduled to go on a trip, there's two things I'd recommend, or three things. The weather's changing; it's cooler.
Right.
So the last time I was there, Doc, weather actually changed in the middle of the week I was there, and it was very warm when I was there. We were in the evening dining outside, and it was comfortable. And then about the middle of the week, temperatures dropped, and it was chilly at night.
Okay.
All right.
So
you definitely. So that was a month. That was a month ago. The desert gets cold at night, so definitely wear a jacket. All right. Doesn't mean you have to wear a parka, but wear something, especially for the evening. Daytime should still be comfortable. I would say the last time I checked, temperatures in Jordan were in the daytime upper 60s, low 70s in daytime. In the evenings, getting down in the upper 40s, low 50s.
Okay.
Okay. So depending on your body temperature, that may be cold, that may be warm to you, might be just great. Eric would think it's swimming weather. Okay. For me, here in Florida, I mean, we're shivering if it gets down in the 80s, okay? So prepare for cooler temperatures, okay, even though it's a desert. It does snow in Jordan in the wintertime. Possibly a little bit of rain. You may, at this time of the year, get some rain during the day, so you might want to bring us an umbrella. Bring good walking shoes. We're going to walk a lot. So bring good, comfortable shoes. And number 3, bring an adapter for the electricity. You need the 2-prong round.
Yes.
It's got 2 prongs and they're round.
And usually you can pick them up. Walmart has them.
Yes.
Your local drugstore has them, and so.
Yeah, not the 3-prong. Get the 2-prong.
You want the European one.
Yep,
It'll
European.
say on there.
That's right. And because if you don't bring one, you're not going to be able to charge your phone or use any kind of electrical device. So bring an adapter. If you forget, you can get them at the airports and so forth, but it will make your life a lot easier when you get there. Bring a little bit of spending money. Everything else is taken care of. Your meals, breakfast and dinner are included. If you do want to get lunch, most of us will skip lunch because we'll have a big breakfast. But if you do, you might want to have some cash. Most places, a lot of places take credit cards. You get out of the big cities and they don't take credit cards.
Right.
Okay. And I don't care what American Express says about you can use it anywhere. That's not true in Jordan. Okay. I found very few places outside of the major cities that took an American Express card. I found very few places that took any card.
Right.
All right. It's like going back in time. It's like going back in time in America 40, 50 years ago. People using cash, nice, quiet communities. Just it's very nice. So keep those things in mind, and you're going to have a great time in Jordan, and we'll be seeing you in, about a week and a half.
Yes.
It's coming up really fast. I just realized. And then I'm going back to Jordan.
A couple weeks after that.
About 2 weeks later. I have to be back there.
At the invitation of the King.
Yeah,
So.
an invitation from the King. Praise Jesus. The Lord is good. He's doing good things here for us. Thank you. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you for being a good Papa to all of us. You feed us. You clothe us. You house us. You provide everything that we need. You protect us. You give us wisdom. You give us ideas. You just fill us with love. You're a good Father, and we praise you. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, who paid the price, who paid the ransom for us that our sins would be forgiven. We thank you for the Holy Spirit, who is our friend, our comforter, who is with us every day, encouraging us and watching over us. Father, we thank you for the angels that surround us. We just thank you, Father, for all that you do for us, for all that you provide for your children. And our trust and our faith is in you. And Father, I pray that that you would give calmness and peace to any brother or sister who is worried about the finances of the world right now. And that you would assure them that you are their father and you're a good father, and you do not neglect the needs of your children. And I just pray that they would come to know you in that way and have peace and assurance. Father, thank you for everything. We praise you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you. See you on Monday, God willing. Bye.
God bless you.